Hi again. This video is going to cover page 24 on part 2. Um, at this point in the story, it is Monday. Let's see, Jackson is 6'4", the same height as Alex, and we've had a scene where he tries and teases Alex in the hallway. So now we're coming in as we're nearing the end of this part. Alex is home whining to his mom about it. We've staged the scene here, so I'm going to hit render, and then we're going to grab a bubble and come into our guide. Caps lock that, mom. Actually, let's put a dash and split it so it goes like mom. And let's actually make that a little bigger. Select none. Pretty much in the last video, I think work had stalled because I was just struggling with a transition in the story. Here it's basically like that stall turns into just plain old procrastination, so this has taken a little bit longer to get here than it should have. I think it's 2. I'm kind of anxious to get to the later part of the stories, and I haven't really been feeling this section of the story until recently. I think I just haven't really been appreciating what this part of the story should be. I think I haven't really found the fun in it. And it's like every now and then I have to break out the pages and check and read it as a whole to remind myself that it's actually going a lot smoother than it feels when you're spending an hour to an hour and a half creating each page. Alex, can't I have a moment to myself for once? She's sitting down to watch TV. We're going to imagine she had a busy day. And then just as she sits down, Alex comes in wanting to whine about something. And actually, before I go messing with that, let's get the picture so we can space this. And two, I think part of the procrastination is that as I'm recording this, it is the Saturday after Thanksgiving for all of you Americans who are aware of the holiday. So it was just Thanksgiving was just a slow day, and then yesterday being Black Friday, even though I didn't really get anything, I still ended up out. Yeah, that's right. I was gonna resize this. Shoot, not that one. This one. See if I can make this. Yeah, it'll work, I think. Edit, paste as. And then as I'm writing this, the Iron Brotherhood Tyler went live on Amazon this past week. And then I kind of hit myself for not realizing it was, the holiday weekend here in America. So, it's those of us in the US, like I just said, have like other things we're thinking about and doing than like shopping for ourselves in the Amazon Kindle store. But I have to say, you guys have sort of met the expectation, have like sort of helped, have meant it's met expectations. I can't say it's really suffered because of the holiday. You guys have been great, and I honestly like just I just can't thank you guys enough. I really, really can't. And I'm probably glad I didn't record this maybe yesterday when I go checking how it's doing in the store, and I find out I'm getting beat out for the number one new release in the everyday life graphic novel category by a prose book that shouldn't even be in the category. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. This one, edit, paste as new layer. Normally, I'm not one to like report other authors to Amazon, but when Amazon tried pulling all my muscle growth stories out of the sports category this past summer, I think that kind of set me off against Amazon. So I fired off an email, and then I've got in the sport, going into the sports category, you know, I'm losing out the number one new release to the 1989 Batman comic adaptation. So I fired off an email because there's nothing sports related about the 1989 movie. I mean, I suppose if you really stretch it, it could be. You could imagine there's something, but when Amazon apparently doesn't consider weightlifting a sport, to all you bodybuilders and powerlifters out there, Amazon doesn't think you're participating in a real sport. So, so I fired off emails. Oh, now let's bring here. And I can't really complain because the book in the everyday life, well, I can complain, but I can't really criticize the author of the prose book because according to the sales, she's doing really well. It's doing really well. So kudos to her. Just get out of my category. Get out of the category. You don't belong there. Stick to the prose categories. Let's see, what is... Oh, this is what's messing it up. Changes to 20. Alex, can I have a moment of peace to myself? Or tell me the truth. Dad really throw away... let's see your growing thing. Your growy thing. The idea is, how goofy can we make it sound? Tell me the truth. Did Dad really throw away your goofy thing? There's no way Jackson grew to be my height in 4 days. 4 days, yeah, let's see. Tell me the truth. Did Dad really throw away your growy thing? There's no way Jackson grew to be my height in 4 days on his own. Let's see. Okay. But yeah, Amazon's been a real hoot this year to deal with. I think back in this summer, pulling two or three of my books out of the sports category, and then having to fire off an email to get them to put them back. When it's like the issue is they're trying to clear out successful books to make room for the titles published under Comixology, which they own. Because it's frankly, it's not just my books that have been pulled. I've noticed, at the time mine were pulled, all of a sudden I noticed there were a number of other titles in the categories that I was competing with that were suddenly no longer there. So, they've been clearing house on anything that's not published through Comixology. And then edit, undo, scale. And then that was after they banned Transforming Tyler when I tried to publish that one. Which admittedly, that one pushed the envelope, if you've seen that. But, in my defense, they have other comics up there with similar content that are for sale that aren't labeled as adult and that aren't in the erotica categories. And I was at least labeling that one as 18 plus and placed it in the erotica categories just so, kids wouldn't run across it. Or, so it was uh, a big deal, but they wouldn't publish it. And that's fine. So I picked out so it was like you on that one too. I picked out a couple of comics that were, similar in content and reported them. and you get because it's like a private matter between Amazon and the author. They won't, you get the email that thank you for, we'll look it over, but we can't tell you, which is fair enough. But when the books remain for sale, you can tell that what their decision was. And really the only difference between the books I reported and Transforming Tyler was that Transforming Tyler was a gay couple. It was it was gay. It involved gay sex, whereas the books they leave up are straight sex. So I'll leave it up to your imagination as to why they had a problem with gay sex but not straight sex. It's like no, and I'm like going on. I think I overdid that, didn't I? Oh shoot! See now I'm now I'm going on this, and uh, let's just go completely back. Oh no, okay. So what's going on there? see, see, I got going on this, and now I'm not even paying attention to what I'm doing. Oh boy, edit, paste as new layer. And while the content was a lot milder, they had no problem with the nudity in the original Shrimp of the House and in My Twin No More. I think I ended up pulling those in out of Amazon completely in response, because if they're gonna target one book, then for the sex, then there's sort of nothing from then they can always use those two books as an excuse to ban my account and keep whatever earnings accrued since the last payout, and they're already getting enough money. But it's like that's the kind of fight is why I've been like pulling the books out of Kindle Unlimited and sort of trying them out on DeviantArt, which like if you go to DeviantArt, I think if I understand like how their stupid um, points things work, I think the books are working out cheaper to you guys. Because DeviantArt doesn't take as much as Amazon does. So I've been dropping the price sort of accordingly over there. But I think the problem on DeviantArt right now is because these books are coming out. The Shrimp at the House series, especially, is coming out of order. I'm not sure anybody really wants to buy a book in the middle of the series when the previous books aren't available. So currently, right now, I think it's the third one. Claymore Jane is still. I'm still waiting for that one to come out of Kindle Unlimited. And then I want to say it's Summer's End is the other one. There's only two books I'm waiting. There's only two books left to come out of Kindle Unlimited, and that's if you don't count the Iron Brotherhood series. I've actually what's the first one? Corey is set to come out in a week or two, but I think I'm pretty sure I'm gonna renew that one and leave it in for another cycle while waiting on the entire series. Now here, what I'm gonna do, let's go back to the story and get away from my own whining. Um, but here, what I'm gonna do is, because this is gonna be one long conversation, I'm gonna do a larger picture and just fill in, and have them just speak rather than sort of do four more very subtly different reaction shots to the speech. So what I've got to do is figure, this is sort of an off-sized panel. So I'm going to make an off-sized picture, and I've just got to find, so I can't remember off the top of my head how big to make this picture. So I've got to find one, so I've got to find a page, or sort of find a picture I did in this style. So now here's where I go pouring through past books looking for a similar, a page with the same size panel. Here we go. This is the one I want to do. So it's, this is the size panel I want to do. So I've got to find this picture and see how big did I make it. And that is this one. And the pixel is 2160 by 2160. So let's come in here. Make this one-on-one. We'll go 2160 by 2160. And then we just sort of make sure it's centered. And actually, their expressions need to be changed. That looks good. This is on the camera, right? What is going on? Come on. Oh, for freak's sake. There we go. Come on. There we go. Okay, so let's go to perspective and shift the head. Okay, the hair is going through the ear, so let's see if we can't. Oh, that's why. Let's see if we just can't correct that a little bit. That'll pass. That's passable. Okay. And in the okay. That is no. Okay, you got to change that to 21, and we render. So in some respects, these larger panels are just laziness. I can create three pictures out of this instead of six. But on the other hand, the extra work goes into the text because now I can just fill in, because they just fill in with the text. Now I put the extra work here. Oops, yeah. Um, you're just like your father, Alex. You're just like your father, actually. You're looking for any excuse you can find. You're looking for any excuse you can find for Jackson because you're afraid to face the fact that your brother is finally catching up to you. Um, okay, so here's where I need to reset. Here's where I need the picture to really get into this because I kind of need to see how to fit the text, that sort of thing. So I'm going to wait for this picture. And since again this is an odd size panel, I got to figure out how much to scale this. So my image, let me see. My image is, how big is my image? Is 1080. Cancel. So let's get the calculator. And we take 1080 times 0.66 equals. Okay, so we got to bring this picture down to 715 pixels. I need this down to 750. So 715 divided by 2160 equals. Okay, so this picture is going to be a third. Layer scale 33. Let's see if that works. Nope. Okay. Scale, I should be able to do 35. Okay, that works. Yeah, that works. So visually, there's two ways to look at this, and it's driving me nuts because one, you sort of want the two heads centered in you want the middle point of their two heads to be centered in the picture, but at the same time, I sort of want an equal space between the characters and the borders, which is going to offset their heads. So that looks good for placement. And now, okay. Can I get this there? Yay. Okay, so now that we've got the picture and I see the space I have to work with, I can go ahead and do all this text. Select none, edit, paste that layer, and merge down. Then we control C that and edit, paste as, new layer. Sort of what but going back to pulling the books out of Amazon, I'd like to find, undo, oh, there we go. I would like to find sort of another retailer to sort of spread out with. But the problem is most other places are even touchier about um, sort of the sex and nudity than Amazon is. So I think way back when I tried to let me see. Yeah, don't mind me. I'm kind of trying to think between. I'm splitting my attention between the picture and my thought here, but I tried taking it to Smashwords, which I wasn't entirely happy about the process because I had to do it. I had to cut it up into pieces because they have size restrictions that Amazon doesn't. Um, it's not that, Mom. God, that, Mom. It's 4 inches in 4 days. God, that's not. I wonder if I can get this. So I had to cut it up, and oh, maybe I can. No, okay, no, it's not gonna work. And I had to do it. I had to convert it to an EPUB. Whoops, an EPUB file, which doesn't give me the panel view that you get with the Kindle Mobi file. And when I tried opening it up, you can't zoom in. So it's if the text is too small to read, then you're stuck like squinching on your device, which I kind of wasn't happy with. But I tried it out to see. I'm gonna move it over a little bit. Okay. So I cut it up and convert it into 7 separate Mobi files. The part, dividing it into the parts like I'm doing now, and put it up there. And I actually even censored the nudity, so I made sure to cover all the nipples, and so I went through and reworked the pages and cut the nipples and hid them behind, and it just still wasn't enough for them. They wouldn't publish those parts that focused on the bedroom. Because with Smashwords, it's not just the sex. They didn't even like the portrayal of buttocks, and it's sort of like trying to find somebody else to take them. That's really the sticking point. Is that everybody else is squeamish about even just the suggestion of sex in a story. Okay, so now I can sit and let's rework this a little bit so it fits. So you're just like your father, Alex. You're looking for any excuse you can find for Jackson because you're afraid to face the fact that your brother is finally catching up to you. It's not that, Mom. It's that he grew 4 inches in 4 days. God. Okay, so we can just reuse this one. So it's the challenge is to find somebody who will distribute, distribute and sell adult comics. Um, It's finally catching up to you. Is that there? Yeah, but your father and I tore his room apart. We didn't find the size changer. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. Let's see. So refile. Select none, edit, paste as new layer. Merge that down. Let's see. Edit, paste as new layer, select none. Okay, let's grab another. Transform. And it's not that I'm trying to be greedy or anything. It's just like anyone else. You're trying to make a couple of bucks to sort of make it worth the time to spend on, whoops, to there I go, like starting off on a thought again and forget what I'm doing here. Okay, yeah, it's not like I'm trying to be greedy, and I really do appreciate like the money all of you have spent to support this work. Um, it's just like I said, you're like anyone else. You're just trying to make the money to be able to spend the time to do this. I guess that's why like on Patreon, pa- pa- Patreon, whatever, however they, like I have no idea how you pronounce it, but like on Patreon, I just offer a flat $3 rate. I'm not, I'm not putting out like the $10 or $25 tiers that like you like special. I it's I sort of want everybody to have equal access. And the prices on Amazon are sort of set as they are just because because of like there's limitations on pricing that I wouldn't have if I was writing a prose book without the pictures. And it's sort of because of the file sizes, Amazon's taking quite a bit of the sales price. So it ends up being priced for Amazon. So it's with the file sizes, they won't let me price anything under $2.99. Whereas if you go to any prose book, any text only book, you could probably find hundreds of books priced at 99 cents. But I can't. It's because of the file sizes. I can't go below $2.99 with these because I'd love to, like on those the on some of the shorter ones, like I think the 3-part ones like Simon's Lament and The Babysitter, David's Nightmare. I'd love to do those at like 199 maybe. Something a little bit closer to that. But the file size 299 is the minimum. Which I guess is why like going to putting them on DeviantArt, I'm kind of able to bring them down. So um, what did I price them at? Like 150 points, which is I think it's what is it? You guys are getting if you buy the points on DeviantArt, you get 80 points for $1. I think it is. So you're looking at almost. So yeah, it's almost $2. To pick up David's Nightmare. It's almost $2 for The Babysitter at Simon's Lament. And then I think Little Bro is the $6 book on Amazon. Is that right? $6 book on Amazon. Um, so I think it came down to I brought it down to 400 points, which is what 4 and change, 5. So I can normally do math, but it's I think it's costing $5 and change, like a dollar less. And now that this has gone nowhere for about 2 or 3 minutes, let's see, where did we leave off? I know it seems odd. We didn't find the size changer. What if Dad's the one who has it? What if? Oops, I'll fix that in a moment. What if he only pretended to throw it away? Let's see. What if Dad's the one who has it? What if he only pretended to throw it away, and he's messing with Jackson just to get me back? Excuse me. So we'll fix that. And I can stretch this out a little bit. Okay. Hmm. Paste as new layer. Select none. And when I post this video on YouTube and link it onto my Patreon page, I'm going to have to be sure to... Oh my god. I'm going to have to be sure to add a disclaimer that this will be the whining edition. Warning, I whine a lot. Uh, See, I'm the kind of person that can like poke fun at just about everything. So, I also figure like, if you can poke fun at everything, then like you've got to be able to poke fun at yourself too. And I do have a lot of fun at my own expense at times. So whenever I go off on tangents making fun of something or someone, I don't really mean to denigrate them. It's just kind of having fun. I guess I'm the kind of person where if like there's so much wrong with this world that like if you're not laughing, then you're probably going to end up crying. So it's kind of better to deal with situation, deal with everything with humor rather than, I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, but I know that seems odd, but your father and I tore his room apart. We didn't find the size changer. What if Dad's the one who has it? What if he only pretended to throw it away and he's messing with Jackson just to get me back? um, let's see. Where do I want to put her bubble? Let's grab this one. I'm trying to think if this is going to be the last word on the page or if there's going to be one more exchange before going to the next page. So let's do this and see what it looks like. Believe it or not, young man, not everything in this house revolves around you. Besides, I went. I can't type right now. Besides, I went through uh, your father's things while he was searching your room. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that works. Okay, yeah. And then I can deal with his surprise on the next page. Let's see. Oops. Select. Okay. And going back to my like pricing decision, not that I'm sure you're thinking about it, but I think too having like the one tier without like all the special rewards for higher paying, for anybody who wants to contribute like 10 or $20 or whatever. It's sort of like the idea is it's just like keeps the pressure off. I think it keeps the pressure off of having to sort of like having to perform on a timetable. It's like time I can just spend where like in theory working on these stories and getting the next one out and keeping everybody satisfied equally. Okay, so that looks good. So now I gotta deal with this picture. Layer to image size, and I'm gonna come up here, edit, cut, select, invert, select, shrink. Okay, select, invert, edit, cut, and select none. Oh, edit, undo. And the whole time I was doing that, I was trying to remind myself that I had to make sure I go to the right layer before hitting cut. And then what do? I not do it. Okay, so merge down. See, and this gives us a conversation without, with fewer weird headshots. So now we'll file and save that as page 22. Page 22. See. Oh, shoot. Tell me I did not just do that. Okay. Oh, whew. Page 20. Come on. Oh, okay. For some reason, the keypad number lock wasn't activated, so we can just renumber that. For a second, I was afraid I overwrote the second page, but um, I didn't. Image, which in the grand scheme of things, even if I had overwritten the second page, it wouldn't have been tragic because I do have this. I do back up regularly on an external drive in case something happens. Um, Worst case scenario is I lose the last 2 pages. And I basically have to go back and redo, which I've never yet had a problem like that. So thank God, or whatever you want to thank. It's okay. So this page 22, and let's look it over. Mom, Alex, can't I have a moment for myself for once? To myself for once? Tell me the truth. Did Dad really throw away your growy thing? There's no way Jackson grew to be my height in 4 days on his own. You're just like your father, Alex. You're looking for any excuse you can find for Jackson because you're afraid to face the fact that your brother is finally catching up to you. It's not that, Mom. It's that he grew 4 inches in 4 days. God. Yeah, I know that seems odd, but your father and I tore his room apart and we didn't find the size changer. But what if Dad's the one who has it? What if he only pretended to throw it away and he's messing with Jackson just to get me back? Okay, I'm gonna go back and change that because that doesn't fit right. Believe it or not, young man, not everything in this house revolves around you. Besides, I went through your father's things while he was searching your room. You know what? I'm gonna go back to my original thought of his. Okay, so now we gotta come back. I'll Control Z to bring my layers back, and this one just to get back at me. And then we're gonna have to stretch this and see. Come on. There we go. Okay. Now I will Control C, edit, paste as new layer, select none. That looks good, right? Yep, lined up. So I'll merge that down and now come back to this, believe it or not. Besides, I went through his. I was originally going to do this and decided not to, and now I'm going to do it. So I will file save as because this got messed up and it's not. There we go. Replace. Image, flatten, file, export to. And I don't need to check this again. So we open a new guide for the next page, but that's going to be it on this one. I hope my whining wasn't too off-putting. I don't know why I've just been in kind of that mood for the last couple of days. And if you're really interested, um, the booking question is called Corbin's Basement. You can find it. It's like as of the time I'm recording this, it is sitting in the everyday life graphic novel category and the Western graphic novel category. Um, it's selling very well. I had a book at one point that hit close to the ranking it holds, so I know how many copies it sells, so I know it's doing well. If you're into historical fiction, and I would suggest checking it out because a lot of people sure are.